Agent families, because it's a phenomenon that has become almost normalized today. It's quite simple. In at least 90% of cases, there's a family member involved. The general public is aware of Neymar's dad, Adrien Rabiot's mom, Kylian Mbappé. Morally, there's almost always a family member involved who will get their cut. It's quite simple. Today, if you want to sign a player, you will potentially find a family member who has the most influence in the player's life, and then you will somehow pay them, give them something, a percentage or whatever, to get the deal. Put like that, you might say, wait, these are stuffed bribes. Yes, because basically everyone wants to make money. Behind the speech, yes, but it's the family values. You understand, it's better for everything. No, it was just a way to make money. And let's be very clear, when families get involved in the players' careers, there are very, very few good examples. We remember Imbula's dad back in the day, and I could give you a list as long as your arm. Notably, Kevin Dance's brother, Hussein Awar's brother. We'll come back a little to why it was nonsense. But today it's getting worse and worse with increasingly large sums and behind-the-scenes settling of scores, families completely destroyed. Welcome to the wonderful family universe of football, where there is neither faith nor law and especially no family. To begin with, there have been some trends, especially in Brazil, with Neymar's father, except he managed Neymar, that was his son. So it's the same for Yamal's father, who signed with Mendes, but the dad, he put him, as you clearly saw. Except it's Yamal, Messi's father. But again, we're talking about Messi, you see, about players. Yamal will see, there's still time, but in any case, for his age, who is better than him? That is to say, for the very, very great player, he can have a difficult father, a difficult mother, whatever you want. At some point, if tomorrow, Yamal, his father, says, yes, I want my son's jet to be yellow, his son's jet will be in yellow. Because the very, very great players, nothing is refused to them. Which is also problematic because they have never heard a no. We cannot consider these players and their families like others. Because in Brazil, they said, wait, if Neymar's father does that, I'll do the same. Now take Rodrigo, for example. The father talks to everyone. Officially, he signed with an agent. This summer, at one point, Liverpool said, no, we can't anymore. I'm asking for 20 million a year. I want my Jets, my smash. Because the problem often is that in these cases, you think your son...
I understand. There's the emotional side.
I am not a father, but our children, we will always say they are the most beautiful, that it's never their fault, etc. So we react emotionally. However, it's a profession. I remind you that being an agent is a profession. We think it's easy because indeed there were people who did anything, and we see that it's a mess everywhere. So families say to themselves, wait, there are some, it's nonsense. They took people for fools, my son for a fool, my daughter for a fool. So why wouldn't I get it back? Because it can be very complicated. And it's true that there have been many scammers and ill-intentioned people. I'll give a simple example that I often mention. Fred Guerra, a historical French agent, etc. Fred Guerra, indeed. There are players from his career who are now turning against him because there were some issues, and then there are other points. I remember that at the time, this was in front of witnesses, he explained how he would recruit certain players by targeting certain single mothers. I think people understood the reasons behind that. It's shameful. Let's be very clear, it's shameful. So we have people like that in this field. I understand that there are families behind who say, wait, if he did that, I can do the same. The problem is that we remain on the emotional side. It's a bit like the problem with Véronique Brabi today. She often says sensible things, especially when we talk about Greenwood. She says, wait, Greenwood giving a second chance, he dit pas parole, pas si partant, he beat up a woman, etc. My son, no? If I had just said that, everyone would say, he shows a contradiction at Olympique de Marseille. The problem is that you have the media war, you have lots of things, etc. And above all, there are demands. In fact, we think our children are so good, but no, there are only 2, 3, 4 Messis, Neymars, Yamals, and we can say no to others. Whereas to Furiocast, we do not say no. Actually, there is that. What can we ask for? Because we always want more often, because there is this emotional aspect, which at some point you have to be called to react. And to return to the case of Rodrigo, the father, he spoke to everyone, but the clubs no longer want to talk to him. That's why we have Uncle Pinizavi, who obviously managed with Neymar's father, because Neymar's father was very difficult to manage. I think that won't surprise anyone, but he had Xavi around him, probably the greatest agent of the last 40 years. And there we see that Xavi is trying to get involved in the Rodrigo case. And what's very funny is that Neymar's father invited Rodrigo's father, and I was sure of it. I talked to some people. I said, you'll see, they'll have to bring in Neymar's father so that Neymar's father, who will take his little cut, can calm Rodrigo's father's demands, so to speak, to let Uncle Xavi handle it. And you'll see that it happens like that, but you can imagine that Rodrigo, it's the end of August and there's nothing for him. So it clearly shows that the issue is around. It's not necessarily the player, and we've had plenty of these trends. Remember Wanda Nara? I think she was Icardi's ex-wife. After that, some people's wives thought, wait, I can manage the career too, because there were already some who were very involved, especially Di Maria's wife, who was very involved, even with the contracts and everything. But Wanda Nara inspired many reality TV women who said, wait, I'm going to secure my football type, I'm going to get involved, etc. I'm going to partner with a lawyer and all that. And that's how you try to recover. So that created a trend. Other agents try to introduce reality TV fans to certain players to try to win over the player. Same. We had the phenomenon of Kylian Mbappe's mom. Many thought, wait, I can manage too. And it's very problematic because take the case of Akyuchi and Auchish. Auchish at the time, Saint-Etienne, PSG and all. Today, he's on loan at Aberdeen in Scotland. Well, at the time, especially the mother, she wanted a career like Griezmann's. My son is going to be Zidane. She had very complicated demands to manage. In fact, she changed agents many times. For Akiushe, with the dad, the Akiushe and TT case is complicated. We also have that aspect. I've often used this example, but I'm going to use it again because it's important. Malik Fofana from Olympique Lyonnais. The father wants to manage, I think he was in football. And there's Bouba Bon's uncle or cousin. So they changed agents once again. Some time ago, they were with William Davila. They switched to Rock Nation, the famous agency that has Vinicius, Hendrik and all. By the way, Hendrik, the mother too. We will be able to talk about it. And so Rock Nation, to sign them, put in a big sum. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of euros. And now I'm going to ask you a question right away because today it's the new trend. That is, you want to get a player like Kamavinga back in the day with the dad. It was the time they arrived. Thank you, big check. That is to say, so imagine. And that's why we live in a crazy world. If it's not corruption, it looks a lot like it. Take a soccer player, treat it like a preferential market, meaning you will take over the player's representation. It's as if there was a call for tenders, there are lots of agents arriving, and normally we would say, well, it's the career project, it's the contacts, these people. No. Oh no. Whereas if you take another sector like construction, let's say a waste company cleaning, whatever you want, there is a call for tenders, and then one company is chosen to get the contract. Except if this company gives 200,000 or 300 or 400,000 or 700,000 euros to the father of the person concerned, we would say it's a bribe, it's corruption. So why is it allowed in football? Why in football do you have guys who come and say, oh, but wait, I'll give 300,000 and so on? But this one, in the name of what? Oh yes, he will recover, but also it's not a good calculation because the family that will accept 300,000, if there's another one tomorrow who offers 350, what do you think they will do? They will drop you to go to the other side. And so to return to the case of Fofana, the contract ends in September. There are many in Lyon who say, wait, because the father wants to manage everything. Rock Nation manages nothing. We explained how it's a company with Jay-Z, whatever you want, it's just for show. Guys, it's, yes, some very good ones, but the rest is catastrophic. So they are not handling the Fofana case at all. They only have Everton on it. It's the end of August. There you go. The player doesn't want to go there. It's normal. Because what does that say? Wait, at the end of September, my mandate with Rock Nation ends. After that, we're free to sign with another agent. So another company will come along and offer a little money. Calm. So actually, that's it. How much do you give? Brother Denso at the time. Why Denso? He wasn't coming out the inspo. But the brother, all the agents we worked with, oh no, but the brother, forget it. Actually, you would make a proposal, then he would change it. No, I want something else. I'm going to talk to someone else. It's like Brother Howard back in the day. Brahim, when Howard had a top coat, when everyone was there, he talked to all the agents in the world. He wanted to sign with everyone, etc. He was promising the same thing to everyone. But the guy, he talks to himself. So actually, you have plenty of examples like that. We could go back to brother-in-law Fekir. So Bernes had already started putting in the first nails. Then we finished the coffin with the brother-in-law who wanted to get inside. But there are so many cases that I don't even know where to start. The brother Brasser at the time, who talked to everyone, but everyone talks. And the brother, the sister Griezmann, the sister of Ferland Mendy, there's always a family member in the middle who then associates with a lawyer, with an agent who will say, but wait, we do 50-50. And now today, that's actually the problem. But why the phenomenon has become so normalized? It's that we had the very big companies, the Stellar. Wasserman today, he gives me Rock Nation. In France, we have a Classico, and I give you 50-50. I give you, it's not hidden employment, but almost. We will make you work in one of our structures. By the way, we will help you with many things. That's what Vadim Vassili's company, AVB Consulting, also did. In short, all these companies came in with a very aggressive strategy. We will recruit players like that. So the guys they take, and then there are those who are ready for anything on the side. It's true that the families, they say to themselves, but wait, he takes. Why wouldn't I take too? It has become the norm. Whereas before, some would say, no, actually, I'm not going to pay for everything. But no, today it pays. And there are those who are so desperate to work in this field. Take Alex Heise. The people of Lorient will remember Alex Heise, who is officially more or less the sporting director. In fact, he was a sports director agent back in the day, in Belgium and all. But always very close to Lorient, because Lorient is the business. Alex Heise, I know of cases where he was told, okay, 80-20. Do 80 for a guy from the family, and 20 for you as a commission. The guy from the family does nothing. The guy was ready to accept. So then the guys were waiting for me. He does 80-20, so why would I do 50-50 with you? So actually, we have completely greedy families, and that's why I'm still waiting for those so-called family values. So in this big circus, as you see, well, it's simply about who will give the most. Once again, we can talk about legality. So behind this financial aspect, which is really the crescendos, we also have the aspect of interference in transfers. That is to say, before, some would say, no, I'll let the agent handle it. Now, no, I want to know everything, etc. I want to talk. There are those who will go behind the back, who will talk again with another person. And why do many transfers sometimes fail? It's precisely because a family member went behind the back of the agent who was mandated or who mandated another agent, etc. at the same time, which made it catastrophic and cataclysmic. And in fact, it's unreadable for the clubs. There are clubs that say, No, but actually it's over because those people sometimes lack credibility. And at the same time, we are in a world where gangsterism still reigns. I mean, at the very top, it reigns. Call FIFA, which has no desire to regulate. For those who have read my books or follow my investigations, you see how the top leaders have no lessons to teach others, actually. And somewhere the families say to themselves, but wait, these guys take everything. Why shouldn't we? Because it's an environment where it's normal to give bribes, kickbacks. In fact, we justify the unjustifiable. The problem is that there are still guys you have to... It's no joke when they give money. We remember the Kalidou Koulibaly case. Kalidou Koulibaly didn't want to change agents, but the brother-in-law took it at some point. No, but really, you have to change agents. It was very tense. We know there are cases like that, and then like him, everyone improvises. At the time, there was the father-in-law, or not Meccano too. I will handle Kursaw's father-in-law. Well, sometimes there are brothers-in-law. Well, it's crazy. I don't even have words, but it's how you hold on to the player. So today, it's become the norm to share more or less. Knowing that, we'll end on this. I am often contacted by brothers, sisters, family members, and I understand we also have very well-intentioned people. Anyway, what I say is still a generalization. Today, 80%, it's nonsense.
Really, clearly.
Or I even know of cases where the brothers in particular negotiated their commission, meaning they were going to get more and told the club no, but lower the player's salary so they could get more themselves, even their own brother. You have to imagine the craziness. Knowing that they negotiate with suitors, lawyers, sites, well, anyway, you get the system a little bit with the recruiters, with all that, except that there are some who try to train themselves, and that's good. That's why some try to get the agent's license, etc. So often there are those who also get fooled by fake schools and others, but there are some who try, and I can understand some have good intentions. There are well-intentioned people in families, I'm not saying otherwise. The problem is when there is so much money, so many solicitations, so much stuff. Because here I talked about money, but it's also the parties, it's also the women, it's also many things like that. Because we can also talk about stories of fact. I mean, it's known in the industry that notably Jorge Mendes, at the time, Ensas killed one of his recruiters in France, the aunts and mothers of certain players, you understand me? There's also that how we are going to recruit players, it's quite dramatic nonetheless. And there is a good point, which is that there are people who try to train themselves. Because being an agent, I repeat, is a slippery profession, it's easy. Yes, there are plenty of incompetence, but there are also very good agents who have real careers. And you see the real agent when things go wrong. Because at some point, okay, you're the brother, you're the father, the mother, whatever you want. At some point, you know the clubs, you know the network, you know what to ask for, the salary scale. Do you know the laws? Do you already have a plan? Are you credible? Because in the end, okay, you have the player, but the most important thing is the messenger. It's not necessarily the message. It's who will call whom, who has the network. At some point, you can't do everything, and you also have to know your place. So I can understand that there is support, but at some point, it gets complicated. Except that we can also train ourselves. That's what Sergio Ramos' brother René did. At one point, he asked for too much. It's like Cavani's brother. At one point, well. But overall, they succeeded a little. They were sitting with lawyers and all, but they are also trained. So it's great for those who want to train because, once again, I repeat, being an agent is a profession. And I will end this video with an anecdote that has always made me laugh. It's about Goulam's brother. It's Sheriff. Sheriff Goulam at one point works for Jorge Mendes in France. And he helps Jorge Mendes to get Ryan Aït-Nouri, who at the time is in Angers. Imagine how incredible this environment is. We're talking about Jorge Mendes. Now, there would be a lot to say about Jorge Mendes because his players often don't decide where they go. There's the young guy, Lyon got him. Well, they forced the young guy to change, etc. I think he won't stay with Mendes, especially because he realized that, while he lost the Colobar, we have plenty of these financial operations. But anyway, you're going to be fed, listen carefully. One day, at Ref Goulam's, he tries to call the mom and dad, and basically he says, I'm going to completely take over the player, and basically he's going to arrange with a guy from the family to do it alone. Basically, he's trying to get Mendes. Except what he didn't foresee is that the dad called Mendes. No, but wait, knowing that the father, well, when you saw his WhatsApp statuses, etc., there were only stories with Mendes. He was, a guy very close to Mendes. Except that Sheriff Goulam, Faudi's brother, thought that the family in return would get Mendes. So Mendes confronted him saying, but wait, what are you doing? You're not working for me anymore and all. Can you imagine the guy's confidence to think, I'm going to get Mendes? But that's not all. I don't know if it's the football system, it's the money that corrupts all this, but in any case, we see the big examples. Yes, Rabiot's father, Véronique Rabiot, Neymar's father, Mbappé's mother, what else? Okay. But behind it all, actually, everyone wants a piece from Division 2 to Division 1. And the problem often is that people don't know what to ask for. But in a way, can we blame them when you have agents, pseudo-agents, willing to give away 80% of their commissions, essentially to bribe someone? There's no other word for it, and no one says anything, neither FIFA, nor the league, nor any authority, not even the police. So it's quite something in the football world, actually, and we'll come back to that. Why bother with doing go-fast runs today between my dear Andalusia to go up to Lyon or whatever when you can simply manage football players? Why do I say that? It's because you'll see, I say it, there are more and more scores settling, but it was getting worse and worse because there are more and more families, people around the families, and believe me, when there's so much money at stake, it's going to end very badly. But well, Anne Masseran doesn't see anything coming anymore. I must be the only bell sounding the alarm. It's not a big deal. In any case, I hope this helps you see things a bit more clearly. And with that, keep the faith.